അവിടെ എന്താ നോക്കും. ആൽബിൻ ഓക്കെ ആണോ?
യെസ് സർ, ഓഡിബിൾ ആണ് സർ.
ഓക്കെ ആണോ? ഇല്ല, കമ്മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതെ. അവിടെ ഇങ്ങോട്ടുള്ള കേട്ടില്ല അപ്പം. പക്ഷെ ഇവിടുന്ന് അവിടെ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് പറയുന്ന അവരും പറയുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ ഇവിടെ ഒന്ന് പറയാൻ പറഞ്ഞു.
സർ കേൾക്കാം സർ, ഓഡിബിൾ ആണ് സർ, കേൾക്കാം സർ.
സംസാരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഇനിയിപ്പോ ഇവിടെ വോളിയം മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. നോക്കിയേ. ഒന്ന് പറയാൻ പറഞ്ഞു.
സർ ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കാവോ സർ?
ഓക്കെ. Good evening, friends.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome to the session. Actually, it's a post-lunch session and it will be boring always. Any post-lunch session, I never keep myself awake in a post-lunch session during my college days or for any class, but that is one thing. We have a mission mode here, so we need to be attentive and finish it. So today, the agenda is to get you all familiarized with the plantation landscape. This is not going to be an exclusive or very pragmatic, specific team-oriented. I would be touching upon some of the aspects, some theoretical aspects and some practical aspects we have confronted in our due course of research and activities. So I will not take much time also. I know that the limit to attend a session is maximum 40-45 minutes, and that was in earlier times. Now it has again reduced to 25 to 30 minutes. So I will try to stop when the saturation happens or I feel the saturation. So just to begin with, the plantation crops, actually, this is tricky. The definition of plantation crops is slightly tricky. In a way, just you can read it actually a group of commercial crop of perennial nature that is running for more than 2 to 3 years, cultivated extensively, that is in a large area, contiguous area, and mostly grown in tropical and subtropical situations or geographical area, and which need employment of labor throughout the year. And the products which are usually consumed after processing. This is very important. Actually, if you take the other criteria put across, even mango comes under plantation crops, but mango is an orchard. It is not a plantation crop because the product is mostly consumed as raw in the raw form. But most of the plantation crops, which is coming under the plantation category, the commercial product at least require minimal processing. Of course, tender coconut we consume as such, but the main product of coconut is coconut oil, main commercial product. So you take example of rubber, tea, coffee, cashew, it all require minimal processing at least. That is just to make you understand about the definition. And a bit of historical glimpse I would like to provide. In fact, the plantation crops in India, it happened due to the European capital, the British time. The oldest plantations were tea and then coffee. So mostly how they found that because that time this tea and coffee, the global demand was much higher and it was sourced with much of capital actually. So they were in search of colonial countries, where they have conquered. What all scope is there? What all crops can be grown there, economically feasible way. So they found that the Nilagiri areas of India, Munnar area, and coffee belt, the Coorg, they have conducted extensive research, in fact. Then they came with the knowledge, know-how. And with European capital, the tea gardens or coffee gardens flourished in our country. And what interests me here is actually the way they employed people. For example, in the case of Munnar, it is a prominent tea belt. They have employed people from Tamil Nadu, that is from far off Tamil Nadu. And they gave incentive for the in-migration from far off Tamil Nadu to this particular area. Why they did that? 2 points. One is they knew that if they employ local people, sooner or later they will develop a bargaining position. So they do not want that to happen. And point number 2, if they are able to make them migrate as a family to this particular place from far off area of Tamil Nadu, once you come with the family, you will never go back. You will be there and you will never develop a bargaining position. You will never be able to negotiate, especially in the wage concerns bubbled up here. So that is sort of a captivated labor regime. Unfortunately, still it is practiced there. There is a different, altogether different facet to be addressed. So most of the plantation crops like take tea or coffee, cocoa, cashew, mostly the production happens in the tropical area and the processing or the major value-added activity happens in temperate countries. For example, cocoa cocoa, 75 to 80% of the cocoa is produced in West African countries, and Ivory Coast and Ghana, Nigeria, such countries. And the major processes are based in Amsterdam, where there is no cocoa production happens. So if you see the value chain of cocoa originating from this particular African country to the consumers, the major value share accrues in these processing centers. And the share of final price, the consumer price to the farmer in the West African country will be meager. This is not only in the case of cocoa, any other plantation crop, this is the scenario. And in India, the gender pattern of plantation labor, if you see, it's very interesting. In the case of tea, 58% labor contributed by the female, coffee 62% by female. And surprisingly, in the case of rubber, which requires no hard work, it is tedious also. 43% of the labor is contributed by female. So, in the plantation sector as such, the contribution of female. Can you please slightly mute if yeah. Just there is a technical hiccup this only. And moving away to the production economics of plantation crops. In general, when you talk about the cost of cultivation of plantation crops, 60% of the cost of cultivation is accounted by the labor charges in India. And we can find that the average daily wages, 750 is the last year's, now it is more than 900 it is. Tamil Nadu also increased to 550, 600, Karnataka also. And the growth rate in wages is also, you can find that it is on a higher level. We cannot deny the fact that the laborers also, they need a decent livelihood, and wage component is increasing. We cannot blame. But when you compare with other countries wherein the wage component, like in the labor charges here, it is accounted for 60% of the cost of cultivation. In many countries like Malaysia or Vietnam, it will be less than 35%. So they will be comparatively enjoying an advantageous position in producing these plantation crops. And just the example of cost of production of a nut, coconut, is 12.1 rupees. Of course, now the prices for the past 1 week, the prices are good. Otherwise, if it is going below 12 rupees, it is really a loss-making enterprise. So now the prices are good. So the prices are important actually. Why the important? The cost of production is the litmus test to assess the profitability of a plantation venture. In the case of areca, it is coming around 280 rupees per kg. And the areca prices of late, it is enjoying a very good premium price. In fact, running even up to 400, 450 rupees on average. So as of now, this is a better enterprise we can consider comparatively. And all the plantation crops, if you see, tea, coffee, rubber, cashew, coconut, all the crops, they had faced or confronted the detrimental impact of reforms and crises. Reforms and crisis means earlier times before, if you see 2000, in the case of agricultural crops before 2001, there were quantitative restrictions. So you just cannot import beyond a particular ceiling from other countries. And our borders were protected, in fact, against the flood of import from other countries. So we had to worry about our own production and our own domestic value chain and pricing. But then 2001 onward, they have lifted the quantitative restriction. So, and the licensing regime has stopped already. Then if I want to import from other countries, suppose coconut or arecanut, coffee or tea, I can import. And as I mentioned earlier, they are producing at a much cheaper level. So the prices will be at a lower level and you can import. That will flood the internal market. So this had a detrimental impact. Once it is flooded to the internal market, the prices will be coming down, our domestic prices. This tea has experienced, coffee has experienced, any other crops, if you see after 2000, the price volatility has been a big issue. And internationally also it is an issue because you have certain markets actually. In the case of tea, we are having some traditional markets. And all the countries are now in the path of reforms. So what exactly will happen? The country, they will choose the cheapest product available across the other countries. So this is also affecting our exports. So the reforms, in a way, it is waging a competition regime, but then many times in the case of plantation crops, we had detrimental impact. And 2000 onwards, if you see the prices, always it is fluctuating and we cannot predict. Now we will come to the coconut sector as such. Now, of late, coconut sector is facing economic risks and uncertainties. Regional trade agreements are there. Fierce competition among producing countries. As I said earlier, now the competition is more. So you are competing globally. And domestic level, policy level impediments also there, price instability and others. So coconut sector is also not like earlier times, it is having so many challenges to combat with. And just for your information, the country-wise contribution in national exports, in coconut. So you can find that a country in Pacific Island, Kiribati, it is pronounced as Kiribati, though it is written as Karibata. 56.6% of its national export is accounted by coconut exports. So in India, it is just meager as 0.23% of the total national export. Vanuatu, another country in Pacific Island, is 1.7%. So once the share of this particular sector in the national export increases, the importance of the sector also increases. So we can find that India, it is not a big sector as such when you compare the national exports. But having said that, of late Indian exports are rising. We can find that the export revenue from coconut products, it has reached 3237 crore. That is 41% increase than the previous year. And from coir sector, another 3779 crores. Together, it is around 7,000 crores we are annually earning to our foreign exchequer. And what makes the export actually? 2012 and 2023, two period we are compared. When you compare, we can find that the activated carbon, it's not a kernel product. The activated carbon contributes the major chunk of export. Earlier it was 45% in 2012. Now it has risen up to 67%. Then it is copra 20% in 2012. Now it has come down to 2%. That way it is. Now, when you compare India in the export regime, the position wise, we are contributing in activated carbon and coir. At least in the second position we are enjoying. Many other value-added kernel products like desiccated coconut, coconut oil, copra, even fresh nuts, we are falling behind other countries. So export orientation, we can have the comparative advantage in terms of activated carbon exports because it is growing at compound annual growth rate of 5.4%. And India's desiccated coconut, coconut oil and raw nuts, copra, it is preferred in other countries because of the less food safety issues. But the problem is the cost component. And the problem here, when you orient towards export, we should be able to supply the assured quantity and quality in time. So India had during post-COVID season, there was a Sri Lankan crisis, you know that. So Sri Lanka was a major exporter. So they were exporting to European countries coconut oil and virgin coconut oil. So since Sri Lanka was out of the market, so there was a huge demand rising from those countries, and they were approaching India, especially from Cochin, the exports they were trying to garner, and Careford was approached for that. But Careford that time, if I remember correctly, they were unable to supply the required quantity in quality. So once you are backing out of the supply chain, backing out from the supply chain, it is very difficult to go back again. So the large scale production and export with food safety standard, complying with the food safety standards is a major challenge in any coconut value-added product. So when you think of export product lines and export value chain, we need to make this very clear that we should be in a position, we should have an infrastructure to supply huge quantity with robust quality. And now newfound opportunities in coir sector is emerging. Coir pith. This is in 21-22, 51% of the coir export, if you see, it is contributed by the coir pith. So why I am showing this? Because the opportunities are emerging and dynamic, it is changing. Now, if you can provide good quality coir pith, if you can have an assured supply chain developed, we can reap benefits. And country-based consumption of domestic consumption of coconut oil. The Philippines, 19.6%, that's the highest, and European Union and in India and USA. USA also consumes a lot of coconut oil, and mostly the coconut oil they consume for toiletry purpose, not as a medium for cooking. So for toiletry purpose and high value cosmetics they consume. So that is one of the major business areas. And world estimated consumption of desiccated coconut. Surprising that Europe, America, they together contribute around 65% of the total consumption. So it's high value markets actually. So where food safety standards and assured quantity matters a lot. And I was mentioning earlier, we are unable to compete. Our position in many of the coconut products are comparatively lower than major coconut exporters. One of the reasons or the major reason for that is the price comparison. If you see the coconut oil, average price for 3 years in Philippines, 800 rupees, Indonesia, 807, Sri Lanka, 1833, here in India, 2238. So we are unable to compete, do the price competition. It is in the case of copra, desiccated coconut, or coconut as such. And domestically, we are facing issues now. When you do the price spread analysis, 70% of the farmers sell their product through village traders as raw coconuts. there is no minimal processing even. They are not making copra. Copra making is a huge industry now. From Kerala, it goes to Tamil Nadu. They make copra and it comes back to Kerala and all. Now, our holding size is also very small. So we have less marketable surplus. And that is one of the reasons why we are unable to, or we are not venturing into the minimal processing. And the producer share, the consumer rupee, of late, it is very meager, up to 46% share only, the value chain we can realize. So the low marketing efficiency, and the only solution is procurement at the aggregation level in the case of coconut. And just giving an example of Kerala, see the procurement and who are the agencies, multiple agencies are there acting in the sector. So that is evoking a lot of confusion also. So this should be streamlined. And the price concern of the coconut now, very recently the prices are increasing. So we were having a long time price crisis in the coconut sector, almost for the past 1 year. So because last year there was an oversupply in the market and diminishing local demand. And the raw nut procurement production has increased. Now it has reduced. Now last year, see there is an year lag actually, it happens, the prices and the production. And the availability of other edible oils at cheaper rate is another reason. So now, last week, government has increased the tariff of palm oil and sunflower oil. So before that, the palm oil and sunflower oil, the duty is almost 5.5%, very meager. So other oils were flooding into the country and it was affecting the coconut oil, affecting the price. Now, another reason is consumer shift for coconut oil is likely to arrest further. But the consumer shift, many of the youngsters in the middle class, a consumer preference study revealed that they are shifting or switching to other oils like olive oil and refined sunflower oil. Even the traditional area where coconut is consumed as a medium for cooking. So reverse migration is tough. These all factors in long run, it will have a detrimental impact on the prices of coconut oil. And hotel industry is always price elastic. What do you mean by the price elasticity? I will explain. Actually, suppose the coconut oil prices are very high. It is some 200, 250, 300 rupees. Then the hotelier will shift to the cheaper oil. Palm oil will be available for 80 rupees, 100 rupees, or adulterated coconut oil will be available. So when the prices are going down, they can again shift to coconut oil. So the price elasticity of coconut oil is very high. When the price goes up, they can easily shift to other oils. So this is the price flexibility or the price elasticity. That is also the character as such will affect the prices. And we have studied FPOs working with coconut as a coconut value-added products as major item. So just the issues confronted, you can read scarce working capital, non-exemption of income tax, lack of professional leadership. This is one of the major reasons, lack of professional leadership. If you want to make a startup or an FPO to a successful venture, you need to be very professional. You need to know the business. Lack of constant institutional support. Institutional support you cannot expect always. So initial stages, there will be huge support, but it will be withdrawn. And unilateral focus on output volume, lack of the brand creation was not happening. This is the result of a glimpse of the studies actually, and the minimal role in decentralized planning. These were the reasons we have made a strategic framework to address this. So just shifting away from coconut, coming to the spices now. The exports of the prices, if you see from India, chili is the major product actually, 30%. And the mint products, 18%. Cumin, 15%. That goes like this. And spice export from India, the country wise, if you see, it goes to USA, China, 14.5% to USA and 14% to China, and almost 10% to Europe. Again, spices also going to high value countries, a major chunk. And India's rank in spices, you can find that garlic, second position, clove, ninth position, pepper, third position. Many other products, it is first position. So it's a major spice exporter. And top spice exporters, India, 21% of the global share, total spices. And the major issue with the spices, just in a nutshell, again, the food safety standards, because it is going to the high value countries and the spices are always under scrutiny because a small consignment rejection from an exporter that will create ripple effect in the European Union. Suppose a consignment is rejected at a particular port due to aflatoxin or many other reasons, they can reject it because of non-compliance of food safety. Once it's rejected, they will send an alarm across the European Union, all 27 countries, so that your product cannot be shipped to next port. The rejection is marked there. So that is called the alarm, rapid alarm specificity. So once the consignment is detained or rejected at a particular port, it's gone. And it will be blacklisted also. And USA also similarly, there are stringent safety norms into practice that will affect the consignments. So the food safety standards, complying with the food safety standards is a major challenge. So we can find that the USA, FDA import detention of India last year, Indian spice products exports, 15 consignments of turmeric, capsicum, 14 consignments. The reasons also adulteration, salmonella, flat toxin, filthy, adulteration, misbranding, so many other reasons. Mixed spices, 66 consignment rejections, cases, salmonella, misbranding. So just why I'm showing is it's very, very tricky. Actually, it needs a lot of caution while into export. Once you have the confidence that you can export with complying food safety standards of that particular market, you would be able to venture it properly and make profit. So, but the compliance, standard compliance regulations, no, the norms are very high. Now, another plantation crop is the arecanut. Arecanut is now for the past 2.5 years, it was worth gold actually. Just 2 handfuls of arecanut will fetch you around 500 rupees. That was the scenario. Now the prices has come down a bit, but still it is profitable. Here the value chain of arecanut, no, it's mostly arecanut is produced in Karnataka and Kerala. Around 70% of the production of late is coming from Karnataka and maybe 20% from Kerala. So the major chunk of the production happening in these areas, northern Kerala up to Thrissur and Karnataka. But the consumption, if you see the consumption, mostly the consumption takes place far off. The best quality arecanut goes to Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Rajkot, and Surat. And the second quality arecanut, the grade specific, according to the grade specification, it goes to Nagpur market. Then it will be distributed. UP is another market. Delhi is a market for spiced up arecanut making, like pan masala and So mainly it is consumed. This is a long chain, and when the prices are good, lot of middlemen appear. And again, market hoarding and other market gimmicks can be practiced. So it will be affecting the farmer. Mostly we can find the disposal pattern of hurricane. They sell off to the private traders. 63% of from the farmers, it goes to private traders. And this is the price and the value chain analysis. The prices from 2021 onward, it was skyrocketing and it has become stagnant and slightly again it is increasing. So, but then this price boom and price crash cycle is very common to the plantation crops, especially in the case of hurricane at 1970s, 1990s, and early in 2000, we have experienced price boom cycle and sudden bust cycle. So there was recommendation. So during those times, now they have called for some committee to study, and they have come up with a recommendation: no more hurricane expansion in non-traditional tracts. But whenever the prices are good, we cannot stop the farmer. They will cultivate hurricane. And many plantation crops just away from this, actually the problem exists where no, the prices are good now. Maybe the hurricane prices are 400 plus. Keeping that in mind, you will be cultivating, suppose a new venture, no, you will be cultivating hurricane. You are planning to cultivate hurricane in 1, 2, 3 hectare of land. But you never know after 6 or 7 years when it is achieving the full yield position, the prices are good or not. Sometimes the price may crash. So your entire effort will be wasted. So this is another area of concern of any plantation crops. That's why the importance of mixed cropping and mixed farming arises exactly at this context. So slightly we have studied why the hurricane prices were increasing. So we have come up with certain reasons accounted for that. And ultimately the value share of the farmer has come down to 49%. And the import is another concern in the case of hurricane. Huge, because the prices were good. So from other countries, cheap rate, the hurricane were imported, especially from Myanmar and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is not producing hurricane, but it is routed through Sri Lanka. And there were so many agreements, regional trade agreements signed between India and South Asian countries, so that at a very cheaper rate we can import. So when the prices were good, legally, a lot of hurricane were imported, taking the benefit of trade agreements, and lot of hurricane, huge quantity of hurricane were smuggled through our borders. So this also entered into our market and it has created a lot of impact on the domestic prices. We can find the balance of trade, the import and export. The pista color is the import, how huge it is over the years, it is increasing. And disused import also, different harmonized standard ports also are getting imported. So there is only one suggestion in the case of hurricane. We need to ensure the optimal share for the farmer in the hurricane value chain. So for that, we need to increase the share of cooperatives at least up to 30%. This is the only solution. And we need to stop the import or optimize the import. We cannot stop the import. We have to optimize the import, which we should ensure that it is not affecting the domestic prices. And the last crop I'm touching upon is the cocoa. Cocoa, if you take 5 months back, if you look, it was the highest price. Now the prices has come down. Highest price reflecting a 7 years high globally. So the cocoa farmers were very happy. But again, the prices for the plantation crops, we cannot rely. when it is going down, when it goes up and all. So that time the positive cocoa demand was there. Why? Because I mentioned earlier 75% of the cocoa is produced in West African countries, mainly Ivory Coast and Ghana. And these countries, they were experiencing a political turmoil and the cocoa production was halted. Accentuated with this, the disease spread in cocoa. So the supply in these major countries, Ghana and Ivory Coast, has come down to a very minimal level. So definitely the global cocoa demand and the supply gap was huge. So they were trying to procure from elsewhere. So the prices were going up. Wherever the cocoa stock is there, production is there, prices were going up. So the problem is the prices are going up, but then this scenario can be changed anytime because 75% of the global production is accounted by these two countries. The very next year, the scenario can be changed. The disease can be mitigated and political issues can be solved and the production can increase. The way the production increases, the demand from the India and other countries, non-traditional production hubs get reduced and the prices will go down. Because the international prices and the domestic prices in the case of cocoa is highly integrated. So anything happens elsewhere or the major producing countries, it will definitely affect the domestic country also, India. So in the case of India, the cocoa consumption as such, it is huge as of now. But we are unable to produce what we are consuming, so we are importing. There is a huge supply gap. So we need to, but then huge supply gap is there. We cannot recommend go for huge production of cocoa. No, because the prices are a problem. If you advocate farmer to cultivate cocoa in huge quantity because there is a huge demand in the country, but then tomorrow there is no prices for the commodity, there can be agitation because the demand can be met by import. So for that, there should be, if you really wanted to have a pragmatic production scenario, we need to go for tripartite agreement. So that even in the case of low prices, after some years, there should be mechanism to take back the product. And one or two examples of the case studies also I will just, one is the Nira value chain. Nira is a beautiful product. It's coconut sap, palm sap. It's the need of the hour. Class so actually in the case of Kerala, it was under Abkari law, the excise law. So 2012-13 time, we have a mechanism devised to get it away from the Abkari clutches. And in a phased manner, there can be mechanism for Nira production commercially. So initially, the state has issued 204 licenses to coconut producer federations in a span of 3 years. 95 initiated the production, but within 4 years, by 2016-17, 82 of them discontinued. So the entire scenario is problematic. So this was an issue because such a good product and people love to take Nira and it is nutraceutical also. But why the venture is not a success? When we have interacted with the producers, the coconut producer federations who have initiated scarcity and high wage rate of palm climbers for the Nira technicians was a major issue because we need a specific skill to harvest Nira. And the lack of continued support from CDB. CDB was the state machinery who initiated this. So they could support to some extent, but then they withdrew the support. The inadequate support from state government and marketing related issues, low yield of NIRA, low economic viability, lack of problems in tapping palms during the rainy season, lack of product uniformity due to non-standardized technologies, because so many Kerala Agriculture University came up with the technology, CPCRI has a technology, and CDB got another technology. So you are tasting NIRA in Trivandrum, you will have a different taste, and you taste from CPCRI, it will be different. It's nice. A product should have the product uniformity. Like Coca-Cola, if you drink from USA or Japan or in India, the taste will be same. So that is the minimal the customer requirement, which is catering towards the customer satisfaction. So marketing the product, the major problem, what as an economist I could find that the product maintenance of the product uniformity and the marketing. See, I have tasted NIRA once 7 years back at Vaitila in Ernakulam at the Vaitila hub bus station. So it was very tasty. So I was traveling, I was in transit. I tasted, and then next week, again I appeared there for some other reason. But I was searching for that shop. The shop was there. It was run by a coconut producer company, and NIRA was not available. So they were telling that today the supply was not there. So I become a dissatisfied customer. So they were unable to ensure adequate supply because of these reasons. So when this was a product which was launched without proper market studies and without ensuring the adequate product supply and product uniformity. But now it has the things are improved, and NIRA is coming up in a big way. But these are some of the issues when you startups of the venture. Now the problems should be addressed, and the consumer perception studies should be done. And this is the same case in the case of coconut chips. Actually, coconut chips is it was not positioned well. Coconut chips is very tasty. If you suppose you are distributing during an exhibition or so, someone will taste and they will tell that it's excellent product. But it is lacking the lack of repeated. It is having a problem of lack of repeated purchase. Like for example, the popcorn, or for another example, the Frito-Lay's chips. Chips can go very well with Coca-Cola or some soft drinks during watching movie and all. That's the positioning. Popcorn with movie. That is again the product positioning. Coconut chips, no, as such you can taste, it will be good. But once you swallow it, it will leave a bit of residue on the back of your tongue. So that will be slightly, unpalatable. So you will not again go for huge quantity consumption. That is the indulgence. But in the case of potato chips, you taste one, again you go on eating and you will indulge on that particular product. So the indulgence attribute is lacking in this particular product. But it is very nutritive, it is tasty. So we will be able to consume only in small quantity. So our packaging in this particular product should be much smaller than the average chips packing. In small quantity, the residue is not a problem. It will be tasty and you will be tasting it well. And yeah. So product should be studied properly before the market launch, or the product launch actually. So there were initial issues in the case of coconut chip. Then they have rectified it. It has come up in small sachet, not sachet, small packets. And it is pushed well now. So like that virgin coconut oil, again, it needs a product position. Virgin coconut oil is the best oil at it. It has got medicinal properties, nutraceutical properties. But people should know why it is superior to coconut oil. Then only you can position it well and market it well. So, but there are many challenges also. adulteration, we were mentioning all through the course, actually desiccated coconut oil, arecanut, everywhere adulteration with cheap imports, illegal imports, lack of support. We have mentioned business expansion, timely supply. We were repeatedly mentioning it in the export market that food safety standards. So farmer welfare is important, consumer welfare is important, and small scale entrepreneur welfare is also important. Now the prices of coconut is very good. That means the manufacturer who is dwelling with the value-added products of coconut, he has to pay more money for procuring the raw material. For farmer, it is good actually. Farmer is getting good price now. So sporadic increase in prices of the raw material is also not very good when you take the value chain as a whole, because it will detrimentally affect the small scale entrepreneurs, and ultimately it will affect the consumer also. So optimal pricing is very important, and optimal welfare is also important. Thank you so much for the listening. Just I was trying to give a glimpse of the overall plantation crops. If you want to discuss anything, I'll be available for some more time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
If any question regarding this or away from this also, you can drift away from this and you can ask. If it is to my limit, I can answer. I can discuss.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir. You're audible.
Actually, this nothing to do with this what have been discussed here. I want to know the reconnect whether they are using for chewing purpose or some other the paint industry also. I'm told
Yeah.
if it is then the industry wise some consumption is there, it will the price will be long last. It means there will be much fluctuation.
Right. You're absolutely right, Yusuf. Actually, arecanut, when you talk about arecanut, there are alternative uses. One is the tannin production and in the fabric industries also. But the feasibility is an issue. These are all very niche segments. And when you compare, because the fabric industry is a huge industry, arecanut, it will cater to a small portion of those who are really wish to, because the production cost will be much higher. And tannin production is the feasibility of the production is lower, and therefore the alternate uses in these particular industries, there is a limit. Mainly it is used for the masticatory purpose, actually the chewing purpose, and the chewing purpose as such, the raw material cost is very high, because now the prices are hovering around 400 to 450. So when the prices are very low, it can be, yes, used for the tannin or this fabric making, the cloth industry. But when the prices are huge, as such, the raw material price itself is huge. It is not feasible. Many times, the raw material itself is fetching good prices especially for the past 2 to 3 years. And otherwise, we can think of this, and even areca sheath, actually, they are making cups out of it and plates out of it. But there is an issue that it will be easily infected with the fungus. So there are some other research is also going on to prolong the shelf life of these sheets. So these are all the alternate uses of arecanut. But mainly the prices of the raw material itself is very good now.
For the last 7 years or so.
Yeah,
Or so.
no, for the last 3.5 years is very good. For the last 7 years, it is optimal. For the last 2.5 years is very good actually. So because it never came down to 200 and 250. It rose from 250 to reach to 400, 450, and it was hovering around. So there was a slight dip. Now it is 400 around.
I think that 400 rupees is it will fetch from Kasaragod produce. I think they are
Exactly.
getting in Kannur. I am from
Kasaragod
Kannur.
and good
Kannur
quality.
district. The price is hovering around 300 rupees. 300.
Yeah, because the grade specification is slightly lower in that region, even Thrissur also. So
Ah.
it will be around 300. No, I was telling about the best chali here in Bayar and Kasaragod and South Karnataka region. But the prices will be, if you take, it will be from 300 to, yes, 450. And if you keep the double chol and all, you might be knowing this. And 1 year, 2 year, if you can keep and you can sell it, the old chali, it is fetching very good price. Maybe around 500 rupees, 520 rupees.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any more discussions? So if no more questions, we may call it a day. So once again, thank you very much for the patient listening. I guess that you can anyway, it will be available in the YouTube also. If you have any doubt or any clarification on this, you can contact me also. Anyway, masterclass WhatsApp group will be there. So we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. All the best for you guys.